Hello, everyone, and welcome to another chat with Lifeology. Today's is themed, sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. In this world where there's a lot of hustle, there's a lot of busyness, and a lot of focus on getting things done, we feel it's necessary and important to sometimes reflect on how healthy some of that is. And some of you who were possibly expecting this last night and are only getting it tonight, well, there's a good reason for that, isn't there, Jodine? Do you want to chat about that?
Yes, hi everyone. There is a very good reason for that. So, in a moment of vulnerability, just to let you know that I admittedly left my sinuses too long and ended up needing some serious dental stuff in order to get it sorted out. And yesterday I had an appointment that should have gone pretty simply and ended up being highly, highly traumatic for me. And I was committed to doing last night, as we are. We go, no, we committed, we need to do it. Even though we hadn't put it out into the public space, it was a commitment that Greg and I had made as business partners. And it's such an interesting time now, and I'm sure so many of you can relate to this, that because of everything that's going on, there's this additional need to hustle. Like, if you are not hustling at the moment, you're in trouble. Where's work coming from? Where's money coming from? What's happening? And there I was in my absolute saying, I think I can. And then, because I'm so grateful for Greg reminding me of this lesson so often, and for it being such an intrinsic part of who both him and I are, he was absolutely so not even fine. Greg, you said the thing that you always say. Please say it.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's when you say sometimes the best thing to do is nothing.
Nothing.
So we ended up doing nothing. And I ended up being able to just relax and recuperate. And we're here today. And it sparked for us to have this conversation about how important it is sometimes to do nothing, especially now when the hustle is on with so many people.
Yeah. This is something that you've definitely had in your conscious for a while, Joe. I have loads of memories of you needing to take your 5 minutes. Do you want to tell people what that is exactly?
So, and I can be quite dramatic in needing my 5 minutes, and I'll actually just make a statement or an announcement where I need to literally just physically step aside, step out of the room, lie on the bed, lie on the couch. And it's always been this energetic, here we go, Greg did it before. Sometimes dramatic to play it up, but the energy and the intention has always been so clear. And it's been this understanding of how we manifest and how we co-create with the universe. We don't have the ability to get out of our own way. And I can feel a level of anxiety, and I know when it's kicking in. And then I know that if the universe had to serve something up on a silver platter for me right now, I would not be emotionally, physically, mentally, or just conscious enough to be able to see it or absorb it or do anything with it. And I need my 5 minutes. I need to just step back and allow life to happen. I'm absolutely convinced that life happens in the gaps, in between all the things that we're doing, when we actually stop and we're unconscious for that bit of time. I always imagine my entire entourage going, oh, quickly, her mind has shut up for a second. Send the sign. Let it happen.
So that's what you mean by get out your own way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I can relate to that in that when things are just not going my way, and I'm getting particularly frustrated, and I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall, that's usually when I need to get out of my own way. Just change your focus. So I don't necessarily take the 5 minutes like you do. I don't go lie on a couch or anything, but just focus on something else. And actually, that was something that I learned when I was really little. When you're looking for something and you can't find it, sometimes the best thing to do is to stop looking, and all of a sudden, there it is, right in front of you.
And that's an amazing analogy. So, and especially now, I've been giving people advice, and I remember it wasn't so long ago where I said to someone, just stop what you're doing, go take a nap in the middle of the day. And we were talking about napping, and I love making this confession. It's one of my favorite confessions to make. Very often I take a nap in the middle of the day. And I'm the only one who knows. There's no cameras, there's no big brother, no one's watching you. Everyone has the perception you're hardworking, you're committed to what you're doing in your life, but sometimes you need to stop. And I said to her, just stop, go take a nap. And I could see all the anxiety. And she got hold of me to say that in that time when she had taken that nap, when she got back into reality and into life, there was an email waiting for her, an opportunity for work. And I was like, there we go. That's all that it is. Sometimes it is like those keys. Sometimes you literally have to stop. And you and I know that this is the fundamentals of the law of attraction. Nowhere in the law of attraction does it say your hustle and your burning the candle at both ends is what manifests and creates reality. It doesn't say that anyway. It always says the whole law of attraction is energy attracts energy. Thoughts attract thoughts. So you're in chaos.
So how do you know if you need to take a break, if you need to stop? Do you sometimes get physical signs?
Well, I can feel it. I can actually feel it. And for me, the words that I would use is overwhelm is always a big one. And frustration's another one. And the biggest one of all, yeah. And you know what the biggest one of all is fear. Actually, the moment you feel like you're getting afraid, like something is making you afraid, that is when you should. And it's not always about taking the nap. I'm saying I love taking a nap, but I'll put headphones on and I'll put a song on that I completely love that calms me down. I'll go and wash a couple of dishes. I'll pick up the phone and phone a friend. I'll do a whole lot of different things in order to step out of my way. And it is when that fear kicks in, when the anxiety kicks in, it's all of those incredible moments that are overwhelming. And Kim's just sent a message and said, have you read The Untethered Soul? I loved reading The Untethered Soul. And I haven't read The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer, but he is an incredible writer, Kim. Thank you for reminding me of that. Greg, did I get you to read The Untethered Soul?
No.
It was, yeah, there's just moments in that book of this deep relationship with soul. And a lot of what you and I are talking about tonight is that big conversation about you cannot be in fear and faith at the same time. And when you're in that fearful space, then you actually don't have the ability to listen to that soul either. You can only listen to that really afraid ego that's making that huge big noise. And what do you do? And each one of us have got to figure out what we do to stop the noise so that the soul can actually say something, so that the calm within us can say something. And for me, I always visualize, and I literally visualize my vision of my universe, finally having the ability to step in and have this say, we tamper all the time. We tamper on our emails and on our computers and we never stop tampering. So life can never, ever, ever happen.
Yeah. So there are two key things that have been raised so far, and that's you've got to step out of your own way, but then you also speak about comforting yourself, which is a key element of that stepping aside, isn't it? Yes. It's because there's a part of you that's gone into a state of distress, and you actually need to calm that part of you down and start to feel a bit better about yourself, so that you can come back with a level head and a calm energy to approach it once again. And that's often when you find a different approach or a new approach.
And you know, the best way that I describe it is when I talk to my mom and remind her about my dad. If anyone who doesn't know, he passed away a long time ago. We're going on 11 years. And I always say to my mom, Mom, he can't hear you. He can't see you. He can energetically feel you. I always remind her of that. And whenever I do that, I remind myself that the way that manifestation works is your words on. You can stand in front of the mirror and you can say an affirmation 1,000 times. Abundance comes to me. Money comes to me. Money flows to me. We all say it. But if you're sitting with an anxiety within you, the words are not what's heard. It's the energy with which you're saying it. And you're just continuously putting anxiety out. And that's why this stopping and recentering ourselves has become so very important to us, because we understand that we have to shift that energy and be energetically in line with what we want. And it's so much about having the faith. You got to have the faith that there's something so much greater, energetically greater than who you are or what you are. And in that, we know that if you sometimes just have the ability to wait, then you allow something to flow. It's so much about that flow. And that's exactly what Kim said. Kim said that in the surrender experiment, it's going with the flow and being in the flow. It sounds simple, I know. But sometimes I have to nap quite a few times.
Yeah, you raise the flow, and when you and I were talking about this earlier today, we spoke about that. Sometimes that push that you're having to exert is actually a resistance to the flow. You're pushing against the very flow, and that's what's making it so difficult, and that's why you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Yeah. If there's anyone out there who doesn't understand the triggers, are there things they can look out for in their physical body? And maybe it's different for everyone. I know I tend to get it a lot in my shoulders. I tend to injure my shoulders in weird ways, and that's possibly symbolic of trying to control things. What happens for you, Jo?
So I think we need to take a small, quick trip down memory lane to 2010, when you and I were in the real, trying to figure out how to get our business off the ground. It was the early days, and I literally sequestrated that L3 and L4 in my back, and I could not physically move for, it was nearly a month and a half. And that was from me literally pushing every single day and having the mindset that if you don't work morning, noon, and night, where's the money going to come from? If you do not energetically push all the time, where's the money going to come from? So there's so many signs. If you're waking up in the morning and you're really exhausted, if you're struggling to sleep and things are rattling around in your mind, and I'm also going to give a tip. If you've never done any form of meditation before in your life and you don't know where to start, just go onto YouTube, do a search, and find a meditation called Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is so amazing. They talk you through it, and what it does is it talks you out of your mental state. And it's the most beautiful process. And for me, because I know that we sit here and sometimes we sound like we got it all together and we're giving people advice, but sometimes my anxiety really can spike. And I just put on something like that, and I can actually feel, you want your body to relax. You want your body to relax so that your mind can trust that your body's relaxing. And you've got to continue to train your mind that the anxiety is not going to create a better reality. The anxiety is actually stopping the reality from being created.
Mm.
Eating is another important link. If you're eating too much or if you're not eating enough, one of those two is also, for me, such a big sign. I can feel it. I sit down, I try and do some work, I'm up, I'm in the kitchen. I sit down, I try to do some work, I'm up, I'm in the kitchen. And then I eventually go, stop trying to do some work. Then you won't go into the kitchen. And I put on my headphones and I do something else. And then I calm myself down and then I can sit and do a full 2-3 hours of work.
Yeah.
We have to learn to be kind to ourselves. When you're anxious and stressed and afraid and all these different things, I always think about that inner child. I always think about my inner child. And so this little inner child comes to you and says, I'm really afraid. I don't know where the money's coming from. What happens if we lose the roof over our head? And then you go, well, then you better work harder. Poor you. That's terrible. And that's what I feel like we do to ourselves. Instead of going, come, let's take a break, take 5 minutes. If you calm down, then you'll be able to get the next thing done. I also always think about that inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some people may be concerned that they won't get back into work mode. That if they let it stop and go do something else, they'll just not get done what they need to get done. And I think initially it does take a little bit of discipline, and you've got to make and watch yourself initially. And then all you need is a few victories. You just need a couple of occasions where you've come back from that break and it started to flow and you felt it flow and you felt that creativity burst. And then you remember that moment, because that is what will encourage you to come back when you've had that break in future.
So I'm actually currently working with someone who we're trying to do this process. We're a couple of sessions in. She has not yet braved stopping. But it's fine because it is such a big reality, and that's the exact fear. If I stop, what happens if I enjoy the stop and I never want to start again? That's the one big concern. And the other thing is, what happens if I stop and I then discover that I don't need to be doing all this stuff? Then who am I really? There's layers of this. There's so many layers of this, and that's why it's such an important message, and that's why we hold the space for so many people to really and truly process this. Because I had to. I mean, Greg, you were carrying me at some point. Like I literally couldn't physically move. You literally were carrying me at some point. I had to get to that. I wasn't taking 5 minutes before that. Not at all. And what we don't want to do is see people get to that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
That was an enjoyable chat.
It really
I hope
was.
everyone else enjoyed it and that you got something out of it.
Thank you. And thank you to my mom who always supports Greg and I, and Kim for chipping in. And I'm actually going to go and find that surrender experiment. So thank you for that, Kim.
Yeah.
And then we will chat to you soon. We're also not committing to absolutely we will see you next Monday or we will see you next Tuesday, because that is not flow. So we will see you when we feel that there's something that we're ready to share with you. But in the meantime, please also just make sure that you are part of the Transform and Transcend with Lifeology Facebook group, and reach out to us if you need anything.